Hello, everybody. It is day 23, May 15th, 2024. And can you tell when I pre-check what the day is? Um, Tonight I spent some time catching up on Jess's Telegram channel that she has been tracking her Inevitable Dream daily journal for this same experiment. And I didn't even catch up on all of them. I'm so behind. But on day 13, she talks about the other parts of our inevitable dreams. Um, Not just the business and the money aspects, but also the joy in the everyday moments, the realizations of wow, I've already manifested this. Um, she specifically was talking about having manifested um, friends who lived on the ocean and they could go swimming with them at the ocean every weekend type of a thing. Um, and it reminded me of an episode in my Heartbeats Harbor podcast. I believe it was called Surrendering and Letting Go to Manifest, which I'll double check and then I'll link that in the show notes as well as Jess's Telegram again. But when I moved, and it just reminded me of when I moved and how I manifested this home I'm living in right now, and how I didn't call it that at the time, but I had suspended disbelief until the 11th hour and just not allowed anything other than success, and how powerful that was. And thinking about what I've already manifested in the 23 days of suspending disbelief so far, um, there are probably many small things that I have not even thought through. But the one that really stood out to me tonight as I was thinking it through was I have fully stepped into alignment in my business, in my inner world, in my outer world. Energetically, I am fully in alignment. And I had never experienced that before, at least not at this level. And even after the extremely dysregulated last few days that I've been through, today I stepped right back onto my path. I wasn't shaken. I wasn't lost or uncertain, unclear about what I was supposed to be doing. I knew exactly what was next. And while I didn't get through as many things as I wanted, the ones that I did get done were wow. It sounds silly to say it out loud, but I was going to download the video of the live that I did in my group today, talking about what the wild feminine is. And I just got so captivated by my own live that I couldn't turn it off. I watched the whole thing, totally engrossed in my own replay. Okay. That was a first. My energy right now, though, is absolutely magnetic and solid and powerful and palpable. And I think I'm just really in this phase of embodiment where I need to be physically speaking it all out loud to people. And this is part of the alignment that I have manifested already in just the first 23 days of 365 days of my raw journey of suspending disbelief. I have come into this alignment where I've realized that I need to be speaking. And it's funny because it's almost ironic because the way that I discovered it was through speaking, right? I'm speaking, I'm talking, creating this podcast. I am speaking my message. And as I've done that, I've realized more and more that my voice is my most powerful tool in my tool belt. I love to write and I could write endlessly, and I've usually turned to that method. Um, but I'm really starting to realize that my voice and actually speaking is my big thing, my number one tool that I should be using. Not just writing, but specifically speaking. And this is why this podcast created this movement so quickly, and why my live today was so magnetic that it even captured my attention. And again, I know that sounds so funny to say, but it was so true. I was completely engrossed. I felt like I couldn't even blink. It was just like, wow. Um, and I mean, I'll link that in the show notes as well. I will, for anyone who's not in my group, you'll want to join the group to be able to watch that. But the overall, this vulnerable embodiment piece in a spoken format is so me, so deeply me. And when I'm aligned with my higher self and fully embodying her like this, people can just connect more naturally with it all. And I get to help other women do that in real time in my inner circle, which I am just literally vibrating with the alignment of that inner circle. Like, I can feel these women coming in, and it's just incredible. Um, I know now how it feels, how it looks. I can identify it when I slip in or out of that higher wild self alignment now. And that in and of itself, just the awareness of it when I slip out, I notice it very quickly. That in and of itself is very powerful. Um, and then being able to slip back into it as well. And this form of communication with this podcast, this raw, real time, vulnerable method of communication, it was actually only the stepping stone into imperfect, real, raw, vulnerable leadership. And that's exactly who I'm calling into my inner circle, is women who are ready to lead in this powerful way. It lands more deeply when we show up imperfectly because it's more real and people can understand it. And I've almost stumbled on this accidentally just through this suspending disbelief movement, this choice and decision, right, to believe, to trust that my success is inevitable and that I'm always exactly where I'm supposed to be, has just shifted so much energetically. Tonight, I stated to Kelly in our unofficial mastermind chat that I'm suspending disbelief now that I am the one to trigger that successful leadership on a global scale, successful change, successful movements and growth, and people actually taking action, not just watching from the sidelines, because they're able to connect with how it's done. And I am the one to trigger that, to bring it forward and show people how to do it because I'm doing it. And just all in all, overall, this has already been such a massive transformation, such a spiritual experience. And I've had so much growth, and I am blown away by the fact that it has only been 23 days out of 365. And as Jess worded it in one of her daily recordings that I was listening to tonight, if this much alignment and manifestation has already happened in such a short period of time, like what can be expected in 365 days is mind blowing. It is absolutely boggling to my mind. Boggling to think about that. It's just so huge that so much can come in such a short period of time. And externally, it may not seem like it that much yet, but I feel the energetics of it. And I am certain and I am decided. And I can see it coming in. And I am not at all wavering in my suspension of disbelief, if that makes sense. So that is what I wanted to share about today. I absolutely hit a point today where I was just done, because I was emotionally drained from the last few days, and it just I was exhausted, so I took a nap and I took care of myself in that way. Um, and it's totally fine that I did that. It is also um, just so much proof positive of the alignment that I had this big traumatic thing happen, and it didn't shake up my world for, an endless period of time. So many times in the past, I would have had something like this happen, and then it would have thrown me so much. It would have been like I forgot that I had a path that I had chosen. And I would have just been picking out the pieces, not sure where to start from, um, feeling really lost, feeling really overwhelmed. And it would have affected everything else in my life. And it's not that it didn't affect everything else in my life, but I was able to sort of keep the trauma, the experience in and of itself in its own box. And not to hide it, not to bury it, but just to keep it separate, where it has no effect on my success, on my inevitable success. That is still happening. That has not changed in the slightest. And that is beyond powerful. That is incredible, because especially for someone like myself who moves very quickly through a lot of different obstacles, it is such a common occurrence for me to have, where I will get my fire going. I will have all the drive and the motivation. I will get started on a project, and then I will have something come in and just wipe me out. And then I come back to it and I'm looking at it and I don't even recognize the pieces anymore. And I'm like, how do I start this over? And I'm having to start from scratch normally, where this time I just picked up where I left off. And maybe that is natural to some people. It hasn't been natural to me. So this was a humongous realization. This was um, a tremendous difference from every other time in the past. Not that I've had this specific thing happen, but from every other thing that has come up to derail me, from every other challenge that has been thrown in my path. This experience has been very, very different from the rest of them. So I'm super grateful for that. I'm also super grateful uh, for Jess and Kelly. I am blown away listening to Jess's daily telegram and reading Kelly's daily posts. And I am, it's so different to be doing it, even though we're on like different days. We started on different days, right? Doing it side by side with two other powerful women who are just rocking it, who are fully in this movement with me. And I want to encourage anyone else who is participating to speak about it, to share about it. Because if this has impacted you, if listening to me has impacted you, or listening to Jess has impacted you, or reading Kelly's blog has impacted you, imagine your words can also do the same thing in whatever format that looks like for you. It can be exactly the same. You can be impacting people with your voice, with your words, with your story. And I just want to invite you to recommit to suspending disbelief, to stay on board, to stay in the room, to keep listening to this podcast, to keep checking in on Jess's posts that she puts out, and to keep reading Kelly's posts. It may feel like a time-consuming thing to add to your day every day. And maybe you don't do it every day. Maybe you set aside a chunk of time to do it, like every few days or whatever. But it's not even about me getting the listens or Kelly getting the readers or anything like that. Jess's is not even interactive, right? She has made it just, nope, I don't want to have to respond to a bunch of comments. I don't want to hear people's opinions about it. Like, this is just what it is. And no matter what format that's in, being exposed to it consistently is also helping me to maintain my consistency with it. So we're all sort of feeding off each other in that way. And so if you are doing this also, just continue to recommit yourself, continue to choose to suspend disbelief, continue to listen in, continue to read, because when you connect with it regularly like that, it keeps it forefront in your mind so that you can create this new habit, so that you can create this new way of being and of living where you are suspending disbelief fully and where you are just trusting in your inevitable success, in your inevitable dreams, that you are always exactly where you're meant to be, and that you can have more than you ever believed was possible very, very quickly. And I am celebrating all of you who are joining in. I am celebrating Jess. I'm celebrating Kelly. I'm celebrating myself. This is such a powerful thing. And again, I want to point out the gratitude I have for now. I can't even, I'm not even going to say her name because I'm going to butcher it. But for the Manifestation Babe podcast episode that set me on this path, which has now created this movement, which has brought me into this incredible alignment with my higher version of myself, and is now trending into this, not just the raw, vulnerable communication, which is in and of itself incredible, and so powerful, but now it also into this raw and vulnerable leadership modality. And I can't stop expressing my gratitude for the fact that I get to do this every day, that this is my life, that I get to lead this, that I get to inspire people, that I get to share. You know, so many of us don't necessarily get heard in, or are not witnessed in our daily lives. And this is such a beautiful thing for me to be able to do. So I'm really grateful to you for listening. I'm really grateful to everyone who is participating in this suspending disbelief movement. And just thank you for listening. Thank you for reading Kelly's blog. Thank you for listening to Jess's telegrams. And for anyone else who is doing this, if you are actively sharing your story, please let us know, because we want more people in the room, and not just silently. We would love to read and hear your stories also. And yeah, that is day 23. So thank you all again for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.